What up, Vibers? It's your boy, Kai. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Guy podcast. In today's episode, I'm hanging out with one of my favorite ADHD humans out there, Jess DuBose. Jess is an ADHD coach, educator, all around badass who helps people build lives that actually work with their brains and not against their brains. She just dropped a brand new course called Rest Like a Rebel. And today we're talking all about rest, like legitimate, real rest for ADHDers who don't want to sit still, but they should. This is going to be an honest, hopeful, super validating conversation. Super excited to have back my good friend, Jess. Hi, Jess. What's up? What's
Hi.
going on?
Thanks for having me. It's so good to see you.
I know. It's funny. I was saying before we started recording, we've known each other for a long time. And you actually knew me from like even before my ADHD days, because I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until like 2023, 2022, 2023. And I like we had met before that.
Yes.
So you've been a part of my whole ADHD journey for a very long time. Are you sick and tired of me yet? Is my first question.
No. I work with ADHDers all day, every day. They're some of my favorite people in the world.
But I'm obviously your absolute favorite.
I mean,
Obviously. Obviously. No, I'm super excited to have you because like we've always been friends. And the last time that we did any sort of like public like chat, I looked it up. It was a TikTok live, I believe, that we did together back in 2022. And so much in the world and our lives have shifted and changed since that point. So I kind of want to start there. Since the last time we talked in 2022, it's now 2025. What has been the biggest shift in your work and your view of ADHD since that point in 2022?
oh my gosh, that's a really excellent question. And I'm like, a lot has changed and nothing has changed,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, I get it.
I'm still an ADHD coach who doesn't have ADHD, which is a weird thing. Um, but I've also worked with a lot more people, so I have a much better understanding of how to help my clients, which is part of the reason I created a course. Because one of those things that I've seen, like, over and over, people suck at resting in general. It doesn't matter if you have ADHD or not.
Right. I can't even front. I'm right there. I'm so bad at resting. It's like legit, really, really bad.
Right. But we also have this like very specific idea about what rest is, like sleeping and
True.
sitting still, and that's not necessarily the case. There are lots of
What?
different ways to rest.
What? I'm doing it wrong, Jess? Is that what you're saying?
Probably.
Problem.
I'm not usually a
the
person
answer is
who,
yes.
yeah, I'm not usually a person who's an advocate for right and wrong, because there's like, do you?
Yeah,
And
sure.
but at the same time, if you're beating yourself up the entire time, you're not actually resting. So it's not that you're
Right.
doing it wrong, you're just not
That's true.
doing it.
That's true. That's true. What I love about you, Jess, is that you've become a voice of reason. Like even though it's about rebellion right now, but like you've become a voice of reason in the ADHD space. But for anyone that's meeting you right now for the first time today, how do you describe what you do every day and why it matters to the ADHD community?
That is the never-ending question of trying to
Sure.
figure out how to describe what it is that I do. Because a lot of what I do is very intuitive. And explaining intuition to other people is not an easy thing to do. But what I love to say is I help ADHDers get out of their own way so that they can live the life they say they want to be living. That's what
the
I
goal.
do. Yes.
That's the goal. I feel like you created this virtual course called Rest Like a Rebel, and I feel like you created it for all of us who collapse at the end of the day on our couch and still somehow don't feel rested, right? Like I feel like there's a lot of people, myself included, that are going to be listening to this right now being like, yeah, that's me. So what made you realize that ADHDers needed a different type of rest than other people?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. Like, one is the the way that an ADHD or brain works is it's constantly going all the time. And
Yeah.
so even when you're sitting still and looking like you're resting, it is likely you're not. And I've,
Mm.
experienced that because I've been married to someone with ADHD. I've lived with
Right,
lots
right.
of people with ADHD, so I've witnessed it many, many times. Um, and then watching my clients be extremely exhausted all the time. It's like, well, are you actually resting? And that's the question that we end up coming to often over and over and over again. And so
Right.
the answer is usually no when we dig into it. Because, like we just said, if you're sitting on this couch and scrolling on TikTok, that could be restful. But if you're
Right.
beating yourself up the entire time because you're not doing something else, that's not
Right.
restful.
Right. 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 So you talk about how rest isn't just something that we do, it's something that we have to unlearn, which I love that kind of ideology. Like, what were you taught about rest growing up that you feel like you had to let go of?
Mm. Well, usually rest is described as like sleeping or
Yeah.
sitting still.
Yeah.
And I love to sleep, don't get me wrong.
Me
I
too. I love a good nap. I love a good nap.
Taurus energy all in here.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
outside of the sleep, well, and when we're talking about ADHDers, there are some ADHDers that are great at sleep, and there are a lot of ADHDers that are not great at sleep. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But in the concept of rest, when you're in this whole concept of the only time I'm resting is when I'm sleeping, and if I can't get myself to sleep, then I'm never resting, then you're like in this vicious cycle of never actually getting real rest. And rest is imperative, it's essential, it's part of like, if you watch anything in life, watch the trees, animals,
Hmm.
plant, like rest is part of every single process of
Right.
basically the universe. And we are like inundated with do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and ADHDers are very literal. So sometimes when people in neurotypical land are talking about their to-do list and getting stuff done, ADHDers are seeing that as they're working 17, 20 hours a day. And that's not
Hmm.
actually what they mean when they say that.
Right. Right.
And so we
Right.
have to get really clear on what does it actually mean.
Right. Right. You had mentioned on your website that there are 7 types of rest. Seven. What the heck? What does that mean, Jess? There are seven. There are 7 types of rest. What are the 7 types of rest that are out there?
Okay, there's physical rest, mental
Hmm.
rest, social rest, spiritual rest, sensory rest, emotional rest, creative rest. And
Wow.
when I came upon this list from some article I read at one point or another, I don't even
Hmm.
remember who it was by or where it was from, but I remember being like, wait, what?
Hmm. Yeah.
There's 7 different types of rest.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of as soon as I read it, it like made sense immediately, but at the same time, I
Right.
had never thought about it before.
Right. 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 Is there out of those 7 types of rest, is there one that ADHDers tend to struggle with the most, or is it kind of like all over the place?
I feel like it's kind of all over the place.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And so like when you're coaching people, when you're coaching ADHDers, do you try to tap into which one it is and then kind of like curve the teaching from there? Like how exactly can one attack this per se?
Yeah, I mean, that is what I will be doing moving forward, but I just
Yeah.
created this course like
Yeah.
last month, so I
Yeah. Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
tailored all of my coaching to it yet, but
Yeah.
now when I'm talking to clients, I'm starting to see like, oh, okay, this is the type of rest. But more
Right.
than being, because we can get really inundated with what type of rest I actually need, and that could be
Right.
important for some people, but I think the more important piece is to recognize the fact that you actually need rest and giving yourself permission to rest. No
Hmm.
matter what kind of rest it is, That's like a
Right.
deeper level, but the highest level is like, oh, I need to give my whole being permission to rest. And
Right.
sometimes just telling your body it's time to rest, like
Right.
giving
Right.
yourself actual permission to do it, will all of a
Right.
sudden allow it to happen.
I feel like so many of us ADHDers were in a constant state of I should be doing something, right? And then when I'm not doing something, I feel so freaking guilty about it. I'm like, I'll be sitting there. I remember this actually happened to me the other day. I was just feeling so like exhausted, and so I just sat on my couch and I was like, I was watching TV and I couldn't get out of my head that like, why am I sitting here watching TV? I should be up and moving. I should be cleaning my house. I should be, getting ready for work. I should be meal prepping. I should be doing all of these things. I just felt so guilty for not doing something. So, do you find that a lot of the ADHDers that you coach are constantly in that state of I should be doing something?
100%. Well, and when you're in that state, first of all, my first question always is, if you were witnessing somebody else do that, would you be telling them to get off their ass
Mm-hmm.
and get up and do
Mm-hmm.
something?
Right.
Probably not,
Right. Right.
right? So, like, why are you the exception?
Right. Right. Well, one of the things that you had mentioned, you said that we don't need more willpower. We need recovery. And that hit me. I was like, God dang, Jess. Okay. So what does recovery actually look like for somebody with an ADHD nervous system?
Yeah. Okay. So, if you think about, have you ever broken a bone?
I did. I fractured my wrist one time. Yeah.
Okay. So, it was in a cast. Yeah.
It was.
And then
Yes.
you had to do physical therapy.
I did, but I was more concerned with all of it was in the 8th grade, and I was more concerned with people signing my cast. I don't know. I don't even know if people do that anymore. But like, I was, I was, it was less about the recovery, but more about my friends signing my cast. But that's another story. But yes, I was in a cast,
Right.
and I did physical therapy. Yes.
Right. So, there's weeks of recovery right there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you had a broken bone. Now, when you think about burnout or being really emotional and having had like a big emotional thing happen, there's recovery time that happens with those things as well. But we don't give ourselves permission to do it because it's not a broken bone, but it's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to like give yourself an image or a picture or something to relate to, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not visible. And that's the problem oftentimes with ADHD, to people who don't understand ADHD, because it's not visible, right? Like we don't,
Right.
right? And so you have to figure out a way to make it visible for yourself, because that whole like concept of out of sight, out of mind. So like there's no cast
Mm-hmm.
on my arm, so I don't need to rest. Like,
Right.
no, that's bullshit. You actually need recovery time.
Yes.
And in fact,
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, I'd have to look it up, but there are some countries in Europe, when somebody's experiencing burnout, they give them a whole year of PTO to
A whole
recover
year.
from burnout. Yeah.
A whole year, like 365 days.
Yeah.
What country is this?
I don't
I need
know.
to
I don't
look
remember, but I
into,
remember reading about it.
because I'm burnt out. I can take a couple years off. I don't mind doing that for a little bit. What I like about virtual courses, though, especially what you're doing here with this one, is that it's very flexible. It's self-paced, right? So people can move at the pace that they feel most comfortable with, which is that kind of thing is makes it very very ADHD friendly. But I know that for a lot of people, the struggle isn't necessarily whether it's self-paced sometimes or how flexible it is. It's just starting in the first place. Um, what would you say to the people who say, I want to do this, but I can't even, I don't have time to start. I'm too overwhelmed. This is just too much. What would you say to them?
Well, I have specifically designed this course just for those people, and there are
Yeah.
lots of ways to navigate that. First,
Mm-hmm.
every video is under 5 minutes. So you can watch
Perfection.
a 5-minute video while you're going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Next, I have like a whole support menu as one of the modules. And there's a I don't want to call her a character. You know that part of your brain that is you're like your inner roommate or the inner critic. I
Mm-hmm.
call mine lovingly. Her name is Crafty Bitch because she is.
I love it. I love it.
So Crafty Bitch makes an appearance in every module. And in the support
Amazing.
menu, you can get 30 days of texts from Crafty Bitch to help remind you to get back in the course.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'll be like, this crafty bitch is texting me again. Fine, I'll start. Jesus. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
And there are like 4 different ways you can sign up. You can buy just the course, but you can also sign up for support. So like you
Mm-hmm.
could do the course plus a coaching session with me, a course
Mm-hmm.
plus Marco Polo support, which is a
Mm-hmm.
video messaging app where you get 30
Yeah.
days of
Yeah.
actual support from me.
Yeah.
So you get a real live person if that is more your speed than a text message. Or you could do like the VIP package and get all of those things.
Right. Right. What? So, kind of going back for a second. When you were talking about s- being still, right? And that's it's a little bit more than that. So as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, okay, hold on, let's go back. How can movement, like, how can that kind of stuff, like movement, creativity, connection, like that kind of stuff, how can that count as rest? Can you give an example of how somebody can rest if they're moving?
Yeah. So, okay, if you are mentally tired,
Mm-hmm.
you've been on the computer all day, it is
Yeah.
likely that your brain is tired, not your
Mm-hmm.
body. So, going on a walk or going for a run or swim or dance party or whatever your version of body movement is,
Yeah.
that could be really restful if you have the intention for it to be restful while you do it.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. I'm taking mental notes here because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some free instruction out of this right now. I'm gonna apply this to my life right now.
Well, what do you
But you,
find the most restful for you? What feels like rest
ooh,
to you?
so this is gonna sound weird because I understand the concept of it's like it's whenever I'm not like actively working on something, like I could be like out for a walk or like at the gym or cleaning the house. I love cleaning, so like I'll often clean my house just because like it won't like I'll just clean my bathroom just because I like cleaning like I just like the concept of like that.
Amazing.
I'll put my headphones in and I'll just clean. And like that is very refreshing to me.
That's
I set
amazing.
aside time every week just to clean. And
So you're
it does feel good.
already implementing rest in your life. You just didn't call it rest.
Didn't even realize it.
Hmm.
But that's what you're here for. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Jess, to tell us, to let us know these things that we're doing okay. We're doing better than we realize.
Yes.
You have this one of the concepts that you have in the course is called shadow side spotlights. And so like what are some like common internal blocks that ADHDers will run into when they're actually trying to rest?
Oh, the shitting of the to-do list. Like you were
Ooh,
just
yeah.
describing, like I
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
cleaning, I should be writing that email, I should be texting my friend, I need to call my mom, I need to clean the litter box.
Yeah.
Like that whole running list of things that are going on inside of your head, or the like, if that's if you get to a point where that's overwhelming and then there's just like this frozen fear of paralysis, that also
Mm-hmm.
happens. Um, so it kind of depends on your flavor of ADHD and where you are for
Right.
that particular day.
Right, right. What I love about you is that you're never shy about who you are, right? Like you are a very real person, and you challenge the BS, and you're just a very genuine person, which is rare. Not a lot of people are like that. And so I'm curious, like, did you like seeing that is how you are as a person? Is that how you want the course to be? Is that how the course virtual course comes off as well
I
for people? Like,
certainly hope
is it
so.
like genuinely you? Yeah.
I certainly hope so. Um,
Yeah.
I I put a lot of energy into putting the course together, and
Mm-hmm.
every module. So like if you go into the physical rest module, there are 5 lessons. So
Mm-hmm.
like the first one is a transition exercise. I
Mm-hmm.
love using these. Transition exercises
Yeah.
are so important because
Yeah.
ADHDers struggle from moving from one thing to the next. So sometimes sitting
Right.
in your car before you go in the house for a while, or
Yeah.
you sit
Yeah.
in the parking lot before you go into the grocery store, you're kind of like mentally preparing to get yourself to the next thing. Um,
Yeah.
so I've created these things that I call transition exercises.
Right.
You could call them like mini meditations, whatever you want, but I liked
Mm-hmm.
calling that. So there's a
Right.
transition exercise, and then there's a video about like what is physical rest, and then how to physically rest. And then the
Mm-hmm.
fourth one is like physical rest experiments, like things you
Right.
can try out. And again, ADHDers are so creative. So like the whole time I'm like, do the thing that you think of. Like when you're considering, but if you have no idea, there's 3 to try.
Right.
And then
Right.
then
Mm-hmm.
you get a message from Crafty Bitch at the end of the manual.
Why do ADHDers struggle with transitions so much? Why is that such a big struggle? Because I know that this was something that I had to manage, and usually whenever I'm talking with people, one of the things that always gets brought up is the struggle to transition into the next thing. Like I'm one of those people, like once I get home, like I will 100% sit in my car for a little bit before going inside, and I'm at my own dang house.
Yeah.
Right? Why do ADHD, like, number one, I remember when I first learned this, I didn't know this was ADHD related for a lot of people, but it is. Why do we struggle with transition so much?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but one of the things you just described was taking a rest before you go in your house, which is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. There's nothing wrong with
Mm-hmm.
that. Let's say that right now. Like there is nothing wrong with whatever transition you're creating in your life that you need to
Yeah.
do for yourself. Like don't feel guilty for that.
You hear that, people? Do you feel validated? I do. I hope you all feel validated, because I do,
I
very
know
much so.
I think a lot of your audience also have kids, and so
Yes, they
walking
do.
to your
They do.
house when there's kids that are going to immediately greet you and you just
Mm-hmm.
need a moment to have no sensory overload in your car, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, this might sound controversial or weird, but what I witness in ADHDers is this profound presence, like being very present in what they're doing in the moment. And so when you
Okay.
get into that hyper focus state or your flow state or whatever, you don't want to get out of it. And it can be easily disturbed, which is why sometimes ADHDers will have a rage reaction when somebody's interrupting them, because it took them 2 hours to get into that state to begin with, and then you took them out of it and they're like, fuck, now I got to get back in.
Story
um
of my life.
yes, so you're like in this, you like being in that state of flow, which is radical, like super presence. And I think that's actually one of the most beautiful things about ADHD is like when I have an ADHDer's attention, like even if they are doing other things while we're talking, like their ability to be present with me in the moment, we're not worried about what's happening next or this or that or your calendar, like you're
Right.
just here. And so coming out of that, transitioning to the next thing is not easy. And this is a very silly example, but if you've ever tried to get a toddler away from their like play that they're doing, like, oh, we gotta leave in 10 minutes, and they're like, no, I want to stay. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of what's happening for an ADHD. It's like, oh, I'm really loving what I'm doing right now, I don't want to get out of that space. And so
Mm-hmm.
transitioning out of it is not an easy thing to do.
Right, right. Sometimes that's how I feel like when I'm. Can we talk about scrolling, like doom
Yeah, yeah,
scrolling, or just scrolling in general?
yeah.
Because I feel like that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes I'll be in the search for dopamine sometimes, and sometimes I get those like quick little hits as I'm scrolling through, whether it be me laughing or me learning or whatever it may be. I get those quick dopamine hits while scrolling. But I think you mentioned this before, scrolling isn't rest. But it is also something that sometimes for a lot of us ADHDers, that's the only thing we can do, or the only thing we have, or we turn to it a lot. So how do we navigate that gray area between distraction and recovery?
Yeah. Well, and that's where you got to get really real with yourself. Because
Yeah.
I would argue that you could scroll and rest, but
Mm,
you have to have some mental fortitude to do that. Not just because
right.
of the like beating yourself up for your to-do list, but the comparison game that happens when you're scrolling, or
Mm-hmm.
the wild emotional roller coaster you could be going on while you're scrolling. Like, depending on how you're scrolling and how your whole being is reacting to every video that you're watching, it may or may not be restful. And you have to be
Mm-hmm.
really honest with yourself. Is this actually restful for me? If not, then when you're scrolling, that's not rest time for you. So you have to figure out
Mm-hmm.
something else that is going to be restful for you. Maybe
Right.
it's picking up a craft or a hobby, or doing a puzzle, or writing in a journal, or going on a walk. Like, there's lots of different things that you could do for rest that don't mean you have to sit still, but you have to be really honest with yourself about whether or not it's restful to scroll.
Right. What about all so a lot of my audience are parents.
Mhm.
A lot of them, I'm sure would love to be able to rest, but they feel like they can't because they are constantly moving. Like they wake up, they get their kids ready, they take them to school, and they go straight to work. They go to work straight to pick up their kids and then take them to baseball practice or whatever. And then, like it's just nonstop 24/7. What would you say to the parents out there with ADHD that are struggling to find ways to rest? What should they do?
Yeah. So obviously, it depends on what age your children are, because there are
Mhm.
certain ages where this will be harder than others. But kids are really resilient and adaptable. And
Mhm.
so teaching your kids about rest is helpful for them too. And so if you do rest as a family, I
Mhm.
know when I was working at a camp, we would have horizontal hour for certain. So everyone had to be they had to be in their bed in the cabin. They didn't have to be
Mhm.
sleeping, but they did have to be quiet. So some people would
Mhm.
take a nap, some people would read a book, some people would color. It just depended on the kid and what they needed at the time. But there was just a horizontal hour where we had like quiet time basically. So you could do stuff like that with your kids, or you could be like, okay, when I'm sitting in this chair in the house, like, don't interrupt me. And this is like, we're
Mhm.
creating boundaries and structure within the house of like, I'm
Right,
overstimulated
right.
right now. So anytime anybody's overstimulated, they get to go sit in the chair, and everyone knows if they're sitting in
Mhm.
that chair, you're not to disturb that person for any reason.
Right, right,
Some things, unless it's an
right,
emergency, but
right. It's so interesting how common this struggle is with people, like just finding time to be able to just like legitimate rest. Uh, I mean, the benefits, not even just from an ADHD perspective, but just from a human perspective, to be able to just find rest every single day. Like there's benefits to this, right? So what happens when you don't? Does your ADHD get worse? Like if you decide to like or if you don't make time to rest, does can that make your ADHD worse?
I mean, I imagine the symptoms would get worse. I've seen it. It also it makes everything harder,
Mm,
right? Like, okay, if again, thinking about something that's more tangible, when you have done a workout and like your body is so tired that you can't go move your arms anymore because you worked out
right,
so hard, you literally
right, right.
can't go do anything else. And so you have to like let your arms recover. And if you don't, you're probably going to injure your body.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in all the other areas. Like, I very much need a mental rest. And if I'm not getting this mental rest, then I'm like trying to work on this problem that requires my brain. And I keep hitting a wall over and over and over and over again because what I actually need to do is walk away and take some
Right.
time to rest and come back to it later. And then all of a sudden, probably have the answer in 2 seconds.
Right. Right. Do you think rest? I feel like some people think that rest is a privilege, though. Like I feel like they don't treat it like it's a necessary thing. It's like they have to earn it. But I feel like, and this might just be me. I don't know if you agree with this or not. But I feel like rest shouldn't be earned. Rest should just be like it should just be a part of who you are. Does that make sense? Like, is that off track?
No, that's not off track at all. Like, I mean, you're a millennial. Yes, I'm a millennial.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm one of the older
same.
millennials. I'm right there.
So even if you're not a millennial, but like a lot of what
Yeah.
our society has taught is like, do this thing and then you get 5 recess. Do this thing and then you get a treat.
Right.
Do this thing
Right.
and so we have this whole like system that has been beaten into us over time, like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't do X without having done this. But then
Mhm.
again, like I said, ADHDers are very literal and they change the goalpost before they reach it. And so all of a
Mhm.
sudden now you're expecting yourself to do 100 things before you rest, and that is not feasible. It's not.
Mhm.
And simply because you are human, you get to rest. Like, you exist. Rest is mandatory. Like, it's not
Mhm.
optional. You will literally shave years off of your life by not resting.
Yeah.
There's this
Yeah.
one of the modules in my course, I talk about the Sabbath. And while I'm not a
Mhm.
religious person anymore, I do take 1 day off a week. I don't do shit on Fridays. I refuse to.
That's a
Yeah. And it has changed my whole life. But there was a study done on I forget which, I think Seventh-day Adventist or something. And they did some sort of study on it, and I put it in my course. I can't remember it verbatim at the moment, but people who take 1 day a week off end up adding 10 years to their life.
Oh. Well, as unproductive as I was last week, I think I'm gonna live forever.
1 week is not going to make up for 37 years.
I'm like, if that's the case, I was very unproductive last week. So,
but just
I'm gonna live
mathematically, 1 day off
forever.
a week
Yeah,
actually
that's interesting.
equals
Yeah,
10 years.
interesting. Okay, I'll take that. Why did you just lead off with that, Jess? You're saying I could live forever if I just rest. Why did you just say that? To go through all of this, you should just let off with that. This episode could have been 2 minutes long. If you would have let off with that part, everybody's like, "Oh, well, why didn't you say that?" Now I'm gonna go get some rest. I want to live for a little bit. Should let off with that next time. What you're super clear though that like this course isn't about quote fixing people, right? You're very clear about that. But in a world that is obsessed with productivity, how do we stop treating rest as just another task to optimize outside of living for forever? Right? So like it's like you had mentioned it before, like how it's just like ingrained into our bodies and like we treat it like a reward system, right? And it's like we can't rest until we've worked hard enough, until we're super productive and we crossed off everything from our to-do list and so on and so forth, right? So how do we stop? Like what like it's easier said than all of this is easier said than done. So what do we do? What's the first step?
The first step is taking notice. If you can be an observer of your life and witness what happens when you actually rest, I will say every single time I actually give myself permission to rest, I am like 10 times more productive the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I am less productive when I don't have rest.
Yeah.
It sounds
Yeah.
counterintuitive, but that's exactly what happens because rest is mandatory, right? Like
Mm.
when we like sleep is mandatory, our cells regenerate when we're sleeping, right? Like the same
Mm.
thing happens with rest is like it gives us time to marinate on the thing that we were working on, and so you could come back together to it later with clear eyes.
Right.
I am a musician, and so anytime in college when I would be busting out my flute piece that I was getting ready for a recital and I get stuck on these 3 measures I couldn't get, it doesn't make sense for me to keep beating myself over the head trying to do it. At a
Right.
certain point, you just walk away and try something else and come back to it later.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got it. I nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
But like so it's counterintuitive. It's like, oh, I have to work harder. No, actually, I wonder what would happen. So like taking a step back and just observing. And one of the things that I love helping my clients learn is learning how to trust themselves, right?
Mm.
And because even within ADHD, like you're going to have different flavors of ADHD. You're going to have different flavors of how you're being. I use this thing called human design that teaches you about yourself too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, I'm a manifester in human design. So that means I work in spurts. So I'll work for
Yeah.
like, when I was putting this course together, there was like 3 days of 14 hours I just put in, just getting it done. But then I took like
Mm-hmm.
5 days off after that.
Mm.
Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I operate. Not everyone
Yeah.
operates that way. Sometimes, yeah, you might fit better with the like 9 to 5 schedule. That works for some people. For other people, you
Mm-hmm.
work in spurts. For other people, it's like 20 minutes of really focused time, and then you need 20 minutes to just fuck off and do whatever. Like, so you have
Yeah.
to learn what works for you. There is no right or wrong. And that's the thing that I
Yeah.
say over and over again. Like, yes, people will tell you, try this. This is the thing that's going to work. Well, it may or may not work because it depends on who you are. But that's where you have to get
Right.
really observant about your life and then learn to trust your body and your being.
Right. Right. I want to play a little game with
Okay.
you, Jess. I want to play a little game. It's called Rest Confessions. Bah, bah, bah. Rest Confessions. It's the theme song. Rest Confessions. Rest Confessions. And so I wrote it. I wrote. It took me 2 years to write that song. I didn't bust it out with a flute like you did, but like I next time I'll add a flute. Next time, if I would have known you played the flute, I would have busted out. So I'm gonna ask you 4 questions, and it's rapid fire. Like you just gotta answer it. Just like I'll go one by one. You just gotta go first thing that pops into your brain. You just gotta go with it.
Okay.
No judgment. We listen and we don't judge. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go. Question number 1. What is your go-to guilty pleasure that feels like rest, but it is not rest?
So, top of head answer is TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But again, caveat, sometimes watching a TV show is rest for me, and sometimes it's not. It really depends on my state of being.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Fair enough.
if I'm just binge watching because I'm avoiding my life, that's not restful.
Yeah.
If I'm,
what are you binging right now?
I am bored of most of my TV shows right now, so I've been like, but I'm watching the 2nd season of Unstable.
What is that?
It's a very silly show.
Okay, I'm a silly guy, Jess. Like, what do you like? You say that as if I'm gonna judge you. I'm not judging you.
I'm just trying to remember I'm notorious for not remembering the actor names.
Fair enough. That's
cast.
Fair. Well, okay. Answer that. What channel is it on, or what network or
Netflix.
streaming? It's on Netflix. Okay. How about I go in blind? I'll just go in blind, not knowing anything, and then I'm gonna text you and be like, "What the heck do you have me watching right now, Jess?"
I didn't recommend that. If you want a recommendation, I would say 9 Perfect Strangers on Hulu.
I've seen that.
I love that show.
With Nicole Kidman, right?
Yes.
Yes, and what's her face? From Gilmore Girls. Oh, she played Suki. Oh, I can't remember her name. But
Oh,
yes, I did see
the
that.
second season
Yes.
came out.
There's another season of it? What,
It's on
really?
Hulu.
I didn't know they came out with a
Neither
second
did I. I was
season.
really excited when it came out. There
Oh, well now I'm going to, is that the one like isn't like a retreat or something like that? There's a second season? I'm going to have to cut this interview short right now, Jess, and go watch it because I didn't know there was a second season.
it's not fully out because it's on Hulu, so every week they come out with
It comes
another.
out
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Well, now I know what I'm going to be distracting myself with
Now
instead of being productive.
you give yourself permission to rest, and then it could be
I will, yes.
restful.
It is because I enjoy it. Like, I'm not watching it just to distract myself. I'm watching it because I enjoy it and it makes me happy. And Nicole Kidman is my future ex-wife, so like I will watch it for that. All right, that was question number 1. Question number 2. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
What's one kind of rest you used to hate, but now you kind of love?
Physical.
I have an answer for this. What is it? Physical, like physical what? Just like being physical?
Well, yeah. I recently got a membership to a gym, and I
nice.
went swimming yesterday, and like I've always really loved swimming, but like normally I hate the process of being sore, and like because it's been a while since I've done all these things. So
sure.
in the last week I've gone swimming twice, and
nice.
I know, and my arms feel it. I went yesterday, but I'm actually like learning to enjoy the process of it instead of just hating all of it.
Okay. There was this alpha male, one of those toxic alpha male guys that popped up on my feed. Don't ask why it popped up because I don't usually watch that stuff at all. I mean, I will watch it just to laugh, but like this, and that really confused my algorithm. But he popped up and he said, when you go to the gym and you feel pain and soreness, pain is weakness leaving the body, Jess. Pain is weakness leaving the body. So if you want your toxic bro mentality for the day, that's it right there. So keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
What was yours?
Naps. I used to hate it. But now I embrace it. I'll take like a 20-minute power nap in the middle of the day, and like I'll feel good. Like I can't do more than 20 minutes though, because then I get like groggy. But like if I take like a 20-minute power nap, oh, I'm good. I'm set.
Diary of a CEO just did a interview about naps with somebody, and they said 20 minutes is the mark. If you do it over 20 minutes,
it's perfect.
You're just going to be groggy.
Yeah. The what I do is like I have to leave my cell phone on like the other side of the room or somewhere where it's not within arm's reach. So that way when the 20-minute alarm goes off, I have to get up, because if it's next to me and I'm taking a nap, I'll just lay there, and then I'll lose everything. Question number 3. Are you ready? Oh well, you don't have ADHD, so this one I keep forgetting you don't have ADHD. You just have to deal with our crazy ADHD selves.
Okay, wait. I'm not dealing with. I'm enjoying my experience with.
Okay. I am enjoying my experience with ADHD.
Ooh, are you?
I am. You want to know how I describe ADHD to people? I describe ADHD as like, because you can't get rid of it. It's like there's no cure, in my opinion, for ADHD. I consider ADHD that like a coworker, somebody that you work with that's actually really good at their job, and like you're happy that they're there, but they're also very annoying, and sometimes they'll go in the kitchen at the workplace and they'll heat up fish, and it just ruins the day. And you're like, oh my god, why are you doing this? And they just do annoying things, like say things like per my last email, or like that kind of stuff that just really, really annoys you, but they're not going anywhere. They're still going to be there, and you need them because they make you better, but they're so annoying. That's how I describe ADHD.
I teach
as an
my
annoying
clients
coworker
to personify their ADHD. So giving your ADHD a name and then having a conversation with them. Like, I think, no, I can't remember. one of my clients named their ADHD. I forget the name, but for this example, we're going to use the name Dave. You're just like, Dave, what the fuck are you doing? Dave, can you stop? Dave, you're trying to get my attention. What do you need? Right?
I haven't had conversations with my ADHD yet, but I think I might. I might, like, next time I'd be like, what are you doing, Bob? Or whatever I'm gonna name him. What are you doing, Bob? How dare you?
Yeah. And then sometimes you have to like check in, because maybe Bob's actually a 6-year-old right now, and then 6-year-old just needs a hug.
That's true. I need a hug. And I'm 38. So what does that say about me, Jess?
I need a hug too, and I'm 37.
That's fair. Look at us old millennials over here. Oh, that's us. There might be somebody that's listening right now that's like, okay, I see what's being said. I hear you. I feel you. I agree. I need this, but I don't know where to start. So when this episode ends, what is the first thing that the listeners or the watchers should do when it comes to managing their ADHD rest? What's the first thing that they should do?
The first thing? I mean, it depends on the person.
I was gonna say download your virtual course. I was gonna say
that's what I was gonna say too, but it really depends on the person. So yeah, I would say there's like 2 or 3 options. One is just purchase the course, and then you'll get some emails to remind you about it, because I understand your brain. So even if
some text messages from Crafty Bitch,
well, you have to sign up for the Crafty Bitch messages. I don't want people to get messages from Crafty Bitch without knowing who she is.
No unsolicited Crafty Bitch.
Actually, I had to change it. I couldn't write from Crafty Bitch because my software wouldn't let me text it. So it's just like a black heart with CB, but
that's amazing. And people know. People that know, it's like one of those, if you know, you know what the CB stands for.
Exactly. But you'll get some automatic text and or emails to start before you even get started, because I know your beautiful, amazing brains. If that even feels like too much and you need like some hand holding, if you go to my homepage, jessdubose.com, there's a button that says, not sure where to start, click here, and you could schedule a free strategy call with me, and I can walk you through the steps personal to you, and or help you purchase the course so you get some like bodily doubling help with it, or figuring out what works for you. And then the third option, if you are not in a space to afford such a course, it's $67 for the course, so it's not that expensive, just so y'all know. But even if that's not an option for you at the moment, you could figure out a rest experiment for yourself to start trying. And if you don't know what that is, just type something into ChatGPT and said, I was listening to this crazy ass woman talk about rest, and I need a rest experiment to try. Can you give me a list of options? And ChatGPT will spit it out for you.
Just make sure you add the prompt. I was listening to this crazy ass woman, and she recommended that a crafty bitch tells me what to do. So ChatGPT, you are a crafty bitch. Tell me what to do.
Don't be surprised when she gets sassy on you.
And listen, ChatGPT is gonna answer you like a crafty bitch. So it's like just be ready for that. I appreciate you so much. I have one more question for you before we go. And by the way, for anybody that's listening or watching right now, that's like, okay, I'm sold. What do I do? I'm going to include all of the links, not only to the course here in the description, but also follow Jess online. Follow her on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, all those platforms. I'm going to include all of those links, including her website, in the description. So all you have to do is click, and it's just there. I'm making it easy for you, ADHDers. All you got to do is click. Dang it!
Thank you.
Just click. Yeah, I got you. My last question for you is this: what do you want every ADHDer who's listening or watching right now to remember the next time that they're feeling exhausted or guilty, or they feel like they're falling behind? What's one thing that you want them to remember?
Hear me from the bottom of my heart when I say this. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you, and you are not broken. Your brain is beautiful and amazing, and there are challenges because this world is not set up for your type of brain, but that doesn't make you bad or wrong. So know that you have this beautiful, amazing brain, and it deserves rest.
I know it's cliche, but it's true. I say cliche shit like that stuff all the time because it's so true. This world is not made for ADHD brains, and so you are doing the best that you can with what you got. And like you just got to continue to just take it day by day, set yourself up for success, and just try, and don't give up. And you have people like Jess who's here to help you. Who's here to help you? Dang it! So take advantage of that. Jess, I want to thank you so very much for being here and hanging out with me today and reminding us that again, rest isn't a reward; it is a right. I always love your honesty. I love your heart. And I love your rest like a rebel mindset because that's exactly what our ADHD community needs right now. So, Vibers, if you're watching or you're listening and you felt seen in this conversation, please go check out Jess's course, Rest Like a Rebel. I included the link in this description of this podcast. So all you have to do is click. It's built for our brains. Short videos, real tools, zero shame. Give it a shot. You'll get a crafty bitch out of it most likely. Like it's worth it. And also I want to hear from you, whether you're what your relationship is like with rest. Are you struggling with it? What did this episode bring up for you? Tag me, send me a message, email Jess, send a DM, whatever it is. Just tell us your story. Tell us about your wins, your struggles, your chaos. We want to hear all of it. And if you found that this episode was very valuable for you, please take a moment, leave a rating or a review. That way more ADHDers like yourself can help find the show and feel a little less alone in their ADHD journey. So with that said, I want to thank our guest again, Jess DuBose, for being
Thank
here.
you.
And as always, go do something nice for yourself today, my friends. You deserve it. Go rest. Damn it. Go rest.
Yes.
As always, much love, good vibes, and I'll talk to you later, my friends. Goodbye.